where I met Joe originally. This go back 4 years. He had a couple of properties out in the village of Brockport. And I guess one of your tenants had just tried burning one down.
He burned it down.
How did it happen?
It went down to the
What
ground.
did you do to him?
He decided to put a store in the downstairs of my rental property.
Oh, there's a little clandestine
it was,
cash.
it was a sub shop.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, that's
yes.
good.
So he got permission actually from the city. They put it in. He was servicing the students, and it was all legal. But his equipment burned up, and it burned up the whole house. So it was a total wipeout.
Did you know the guy that like lit a roll of toilet paper on fire and threw it up the
I did.
stairwell?
I did. Yes. I've had a lot of accidents like that. We visited a house that I had, and
Yeah.
the guy threatened to burn our building down, and he did. The next week.
Fortunately, it was well insured.
Yes. So those things happen when you're investing in property.
So what happened with that guy? We had this 2-family house in Katy in the city of Rochester.
Yeah.
And we were actually had it up for sale. The market was slow. We couldn't get this thing sold. We had a vacant apartment. And we had these characters living on the other side. So one night, I had like 1 o'clock or something. You call me. He's laughing. I go, what the hell? Joe, what's going on? He goes, our house on Katy Street. It burned to the ground.
Yes. Yes.
I said, really? I said, gee, it's great. What happened? He says, apparently the tenants were freebasing cocaine on the living room floor, and they caught the carpet on fire, and they were all high. So instead of like trying to put the fire out, call help, they just freaked out and they just took off and ran off into the night. And the house cooked for 2 or 3 hours before the fire department showed up.
Exactly.
So all they did was just let it kind of cave into the basement, and they threw water on
That's
it.
right.
So you guys are pretty good on that house.
Yeah.
I mean,
In the end, yeah.
you never want to go through one of those, trust me. But it worked out. But it's a hassle working things out.
Yeah.
But we've had all kinds of negative experiences being landlords.
Mm.
So what happened to those tenants?
Well, I'll tell you what happened to them.
Nothing.
Joe went and found him and moved him into another house, and 6 months later they burned that freaking house down.
It happens, Arsonists,
And then we get a letter from the arson task force in New York State. I wonder why we're having all these fires.
Exactly.
I said, look, we can't throw these people out just because they have a bad track record. But that was the end of our fire sales.
But I used to own a number of rooming houses, and 2 of the rooming houses, one had 54 units in it, and the other one had
Wow.
24.
Mm-hmm.
And those both went up in flames with the tenants smoking on their bed, and they would put the cigarette in the cigarette slot
Ashtray.
in the ashtray and go somewhere, and then the whole building goes up.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so not comfortable. So you lose a lot of income. You can't do anything with it while they're investigating it. Takes them 6 months to investigate it. You can't even fix it.
Yeah, they say they're really profitable, but they're
Yeah,
nightmares.
Yeah.
That building there was always something going on in that building, that big one.
The big one?
54
Yeah.
unit one.
Yes, there was.
I remember at a time that didn't one of the code inspectors, just somebody come over and he was paying a
Yeah,
looking for you
yeah.
because
Oh,
the tenants were shooting ice bombs.
there was an alley between the back of my building and City Hall. What the city made me do,
That was sick.
the people were throwing these ice bombs, these things by hand out the window and hitting City Hall or getting it on their roof, that kind of thing. So you ended up with toilet paper flags coming off the roof in the spring.
The city.
So the city came in and told me, you got to stop that. I said, I can't stop that. The window, I can't close the windows. They got to have an escape route. It goes right to the fire escape.
Yeah.
So they said, we're going to work on this. We're going to give you special dispensation to put bars on your windows. And I said, I don't think that's legal. They said, well, let us work on that. So then they agreed to let me put bars on the windows, right? So then they developed the process of putting the toilet paper out there, getting a broom handle, sliding it on there.
Not only were they not throwing them by hand, but now they had distance and
Oh
power.
yeah, it got worse for City Hall. So they didn't like it very much.
I heard you guys had a tenant that was golfing off on the roofs.
That was in Utica. He was hitting golf balls.
Oh, yeah.
He go up on the roof and he was hitting golf balls into downtown.
Yeah. And here's an off the side story. I was at John's house one New Year's Eve for a party, and my wife was home. She got a call from the mental health hospital here in Monroe County, and one of my tenants was in there, and he was asking her to get him out. So she called me at John's place. This guy was really in bad shape mentally, right? But the reason he was in there is he had built a rocket in his apartment to shoot to the moon. And he was calibrating the distance and the height he had to shoot it when some of the tenants saw the nose of the rocket sticking out of the window. They called the police, and before he could light it, the police got him and took him in, and he wanted us to get him out. When you're buying income property, you got to understand what you're buying, and you got to understand how you're going to deal with it.